It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hello, I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week on the Forum, brought to you by Hayes Med. And today, our guest, student Anniston Weber. And I want to thank you for coming in today. People are going, who is Anniston? How do we know her? Well, Anniston, you've written a lot of stuff, and you're a journalism student. You've graduated now from Hayes High. Long time coming, right?
Right.
4 long years.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it probably went by pretty fast, didn't it?
It went by pretty fast, I'd say.
Now, you are a journalism student. We'll get into the second half of the show about what you've won some. She's won some awards, so we'll get to that here in the second half of the show. But let's talk about this. You've had an interest in journalism for a while, and from what I read, it kind of faded a little bit, and then you came back to it. Let's talk about you and growing up. You grew up here around Hayes?
I did. Yeah.
And so what made you think about journalism or start into writing?
Well, I've always had an interest in writing. When I was little, I would write little stories and just little fiction tales, and I would give them to my librarian and have her laminate them, and she'd keep them in the library. And in high school, I had an interest in theater and music and spring play and stuff, and I met the journalism advisor, and he convinced me to join the newspaper team along with some other students. And when I first started writing, it wasn't really my thing, but as the year progressed, I really started developing a passion for writing these stories for the online and incorporating media into the stories. So,
what are your favorite kind of stories to write then for the newspaper? You like sports? Do you like but biographies, or what do you like to write?
I like writing features over specific people so that people can get an in-depth look at someone that they may or may not know around the school or just in town.
So how do you craft that? I mean, do you sit down and interview them and then kind of just build it on your own, or do you take a lot of what they said and use that and then just fill it in here and there?
I like to sit them down and just find interesting details about themselves as a person and create a story about who they are, and so other people can also see that.
Have you interviewed and done stories on mainly people from Hayes High, or have there been people outside of Hayes High?
It's mainly been people from Hayes High, but I've also ventured out and interviewed people up at Hayes Med and just for other little stories here and there.
One of the things I think is fascinating, doing this show and doing some of the other interviews that I do, and I'm sure it's come this way for you too, you sometimes do an interview and you think, wow, I didn't know that, and you learn a lot more and it kind of enlightens you. And has there been any stories out there where all of a sudden you go, wow, I didn't know that, and you were really kind of taken by the story?
I did a story over a music student who I had known who was very passionate about music. I didn't know that they were going to pursue music in the future, and I didn't know that they had been accepted into some very prestigious choirs, and it's just that information that really is like, wow, that'll make an interesting story, and I'm glad that I always am learning something new about someone.
I know sometimes when you have a passion like you do for writing, people that have that passion, they'll sit up and they'll write at night, and then all of a sudden they'll look at the clock and say, wow, it's 2 or 3 in the morning. Does that ever happen to you where you just keep going, or you're on a roll and you just want to keep going?
Always, and I'm always re-editing my stories and going through and making sure that everything makes sense, and I read it out loud and make sure that everything is just falling perfectly into place, and when I'm inserting media, I make sure that it all makes sense and that it all meshes together well.
Have there been some idols out there, and it doesn't have to be national idols or world idols? Are there some idols maybe locally that have kind of helped you along that you really thought, well, I've learned this great thing from this person and this great thing from this person?
My advisor, Bill Gasper, in high school, he really showed me a lot, and he really taught me exactly how to piece together a story and how to make something enjoyable for a reader. So I'm really thankful for him.
And you, and not only you, but the whole group of you for the newspaper at Hayes High have won some awards too. In fact, many years in a row now.
Yeah, we've won multiple sweepstakes awards from the KSBA program. We've also recently been awarded a All Kansas Online, which personally I've worked really hard on our online site to make it the best that it can be, and I've revamped it and totally changed the format of the online site, so I'm working with coding and filling things in here and there on the site. So
if somebody wants to go out and read some of your stories, where can they read them? Can they read them on that website, or are there other places to read them as well?
A lot of my articles actually go on Hayes Post. All of my articles are on The Guide and Online, and a lot of my stories are also on the hard copy of the Guidin. So, yeah.
So they can go onto the guide. Is it theguidin.com?
Theguidinonline.com.
Theguidinonline.com. So go there, or you can look at Hayes Post, and we can find some stories for you there, right?
Right. It's actually called HayesHighGuidin.com. I apologize.
That's okay. So we'll look for that. Anniston, we want to thank you for talking to us. We've got some great things we're going to talk about. Anniston's won some really big awards, and we're going to get into that in the second half of the show and kind of talk to you about your future a little bit and see where it's all heading to. So Anniston is our guest. Anniston Weber from Hayes High School, actually a graduate, so we'll talk about that in the second half of the show, is our guest today on the forum. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman today. Thanks for joining us.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.
Are you frustrated with Wi-Fi dead zones in your home? It happens when you don't have Pulse, the cutting-edge Wi-Fi solution from Eagle Communications. A Pulse-certified Eagle technician maps your home, then installs a dual-band modem and router, plus discrete access points to deliver wall-to-wall Wi-Fi with no dead zones. Pulse powers all your family's devices in all the places you love to live. Get Pulse. Wi-Fi made simple. Only from Eagle Communications. Call today.
Welcome back to the forum. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week. By the way, if you've got some story ideas, guest ideas, Gary would love to hear from you, and you can email him personally at gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. The forum brought to you by Hayes Med. Our guest this week, Anniston Weber, a graduate of Hayes High, winning a lot of awards. The Guidin's won a lot of awards too, and probably help, not only to you, but you've had some great team members too, haven't you?
Of course I have. I really enjoyed my staff this year. We were all working so hard together to make the paper the best it can be.
Okay, we're going to look this up here. The Kansas Scholastic Press Association. That's a big deal, and you won an award this year. Tell us about the award.
I won Journalist of the Year for 3A, 4A schools in Kansas, and for that award I had to compile a huge portfolio of my work and write an essay and get letters of recommendation from my teachers and just showcase all of my work as a journalist and as a media editor for this award.
Did you sit down and go, okay, that one's going to go in, that one's not going to go in, wait, that's going to go in? I mean, did you struggle with that some?
I did. I picked through my stories from 3 years, and I've written quite a handful of stories, so I wanted to find my most hard-hitting stories and my most impactful stories, I think, or the ones that just got most of the attention from the public.
Here's one thing that I've noticed in my life, and I don't know if you've noticed this too when you've been doing these stories. You look back and you go back to some you've written 3 years ago and 2 years ago, and you go, wow, I've really improved over just the last year or so, or even in the last month. Do you notice that somewhat too? Definitely.
I've gotten better at incorporating different types of media and looking for just different ways to engage a reader and make sure that everyone is getting the type of article that they can all enjoy.
You know, they say in journalism, you got to grab people with the headline. Is that the hardest thing to come up with?
Oh yeah. I edit the website, or I edited the website at the school. So I would be going through and I'd be seeing headlines that other staff members would make, and I'd read through the story and I'd be like, oh, we can change this and make people more interested and go click on that so we have more views on our site. So.
Hopefully you're not upsetting them.
Oh no, okay. No, that was my job.
Okay, and people can look at your stories and all that, but what are they going to do now that you're gone from Hayes High?
I don't know.
They probably have some great staff already there.
Hopefully.
You probably left them with some good people. So let's talk about you a little bit more. You've won this award. What does this award mean to you?
This award really solidifies the fact that I want to be a journalist in the future and I want to pursue journalism. I'm so thankful that I won. I put so much work into just my application for the award, so I'm incredibly honored that I received it.
And then now what's next for you? You want to go to some big school, or are you going to stay here in hometown and help us out at Fort Hayes?
I'll be staying here in town for at least a while. I'll be going to school at Fort Hayes and majoring in informatics. So.
Oh, good. That's a department I know very well. So thank you for coming to informatics department. So you'll be helping out at Fort Hayes, and you'll be writing for some of the online stuff they have at Fort Hayes?
I plan to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you met with the people down there and counselors yet about any of this?
Here and there, it hasn't been much of an interaction considering school just got out, and so I'm looking forward to doing that.
Will you be starting summer classes or starting in the fall?
I'll be starting in the fall.
So you're going to take a little summer off. Very good. Now, will you be doing some other writing outside of school and maybe doing a story, or is there a book that you want to do someday?
I plan on still working on editing the high school's website, just because I care about it so much and I've been putting so much work into it for the past 3 years. I plan on taking care of it here and there while I still can, at least over the summer.
So even though you've graduated, you're just going to help out?
I care about it a lot.
I guess so. Well, maybe you can find somebody and you know, give the baton off to somebody and show them well. So, I mean, congratulations to you and all the great awards you won and the accomplishments. And we want to thank you for coming in and enlightening us and telling us a little bit about yourself. And again, we'll look for that name on a lot of stories on Hayes Post. And if they want to go to the guide, and they can too. And again, that web address? HayesHighGuidance.com. Very good. We will make sure we got that right. Anniston Weber, we want to thank her for coming out and talking to us today. I'm Mike Kerner. This is The Forum. I want to thank Gary for allowing me to host this week. It's brought to you by HizMed. Have yourself a great week.
My name is Jeremy Burkholder and I manage the Network Operations Center at Eagle Communications. My job at the Network Operations Center is ensuring that we've got the right members of the Eagle team involved in supporting our customers, resolving their issues, and making sure we meet their needs long term. Service to me is understanding my customers' needs and ensuring that we're meeting them, as well as ensuring they have a reliable product on a day-to-day basis. The favorite part of my job is when I get the opportunity to work with the great team we have at Eagle to exceed the customer's expectations and showing them what an employee-owned company can do.